We're trying our best. This is the fourth intro. It's already recording.
Okay. Just start with, hello, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Ring, ring. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello. This is your brother Dexter, the host of a new podcast called Disney Bust, where we talk about the worst and weirdest of Disney Plus.
Who am I?
Well, I called you.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm your younger brother.
Oh, that's convenient.
I'm the co-host for today.
You are the co-host for today.
Episode 3.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
The very first.
This is take 1.
This is the very first.
Very first take.
I don't even know what a microphone is.
What's the podcast about?
Yeah, so like I said on the phone earlier, we just hung up.
Oh, yeah.
Click.
Click.
Yeah, like I said on the phone earlier.
Ring, ring.
Uh,
Bye.
Hello?
Click.
Oh.
All right, cool. This is a podcast where we go through Disney Plus and we like to watch, where we choose to watch the bad and the worst and the weirdest movies on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so we're paying $6.99 a month to watch.
To hate ourselves.
Yeah, there's a lot of TV shows and movies out there on Disney Plus that are just poo-poo.
Big old pooey.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that Disney has not always been a mighty overlord since its inception in the 20s. It was bad before for a long stretch. So today we cooked up something good.
Boo!
Some boogedy.
This is a Halloween episode.
Yeah, happy December 28th, folks, 2019. Happy Halloween. We're talking Mr. Boogedy.
We're talking the Boogedy man.
Yeah, so
we're talking Joaquin Phoenix
as Mr. Boogedy.
We're talking Gomez.
Yep.
We're talking
Oz
sandwiches,
Scott.
BLTs.
Yeah, so Mr. Boogedy was a made-for-TV movie that was also a failed pilot back in the 80s, 1986 to be exact.
420.
Oh.
Blaze it.
Okay, there you go. Is that the release date?
20th of April,
Got it.
1896.
Yeah, and
1986.
the writers and directors had to be, I think, on something during this creation of.
They were all up on them gags, dog.
Yeah, Gag City.
Gag City.
So here I wrote down the Disney Plus descriptions, since, this is a Disney Plus podcast in a way. I have the short description of what the movie's about, and then the long description, and then I guess we can kind of go.
Give me that short
details. So let's do that.
Give me the short.
I will give you the short stuff.
Thank you.
The Davis family don't get much time to enjoy their new house before a grave warning from a local historian urges them to beware of the ghostly Mr. Boogedy. So upon that, you're kind of like, oh, huh. It's listed as comedy fantasy, which is really interesting because I feel like at moments they actually wanted you to be scared.
It did feel like there were some intentionally scary moments, but scary in the way that running out of toilet paper is. You know, where you're kind of like, damn, I got to get more toilet paper.
Or the yellow light turns red and you see a patrol officer.
Yeah,
and you're
so
just
it's oh, scary in the way that your heart rate increases by 2.
By 2.
By 2. So equal to not scary at all. How's that?
Yeah, so when you click it, it gives you a little longer description. So that's after the Davis family ignores a dire warning and moves into their dream home. It's revealed to be a hilarious house of horrors. Turns out it's the favorite haunt of a sinister 300-year-old spirit with a with a face like a grilled cheese sandwich. That is in the description and in the movie, right?
He looks delicious.
Yeah, so golden crunchy outside. I like my grilled cheese with mayonnaise on the spread rather than butter. It gives it a little more zest.
Mr. Boogedy's a mayo covered man, I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, so that's part of the description, but when you look at him, he just kind of has boils on his face. So I don't know how they thought grilled cheese sandwich.
Imagine looking at a bubbling pit of tar with some gravy on top.
Yeah,
That's
and
what Mr.
some
Boogedy looks like.
Caucasian-esque flesh.
Yeah.
flowing over.
Yeah.
It's delicious. Okay, anyways, soon as the spooky specter's antics become more and more frightening, the Davises make a shocking discovery that forces them into a daring confrontation with the terrifying Mr. Boogedy.
I wouldn't say terrifying.
Yeah, so his main lines
Horrifying is better, though.
near the end of the thing, I guess we shouldn't go into that right away because there's 45 minutes before that, but he just kind of says boogedy boogedy boo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Like we all do. We
when-
all say that
when
at
we're
least
all
once or twice a day.
causing the hijinks.
You know, like, I don't want to make too much potty humor, but when you're flushing the toilet
Mm-hmm. Another.
and you say boogedy boogedy boo,
Of course.
or when you run a red light.
Okay. That's our second red light reference.
Yep, I got lost.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank
Well
you.
said. So it starts out and it feels very dated. And it came out in 1986, but it doesn't feel like that. Unless, like, I'm wrong with the whole, like, 80s vibe. It did not very feel.
It looked
80s.
like a made-for-TV movie that came out in 1975,
Yeah.
but it's in fact a made-for-TV movie that came out in 86. But it starts off bad.
Yeah, there's, like, an establishing shot of this truck.
I thought it was a Frito-Lay truck.
Yeah, it was very colorful, and it had a
Instance.
big logo on the side. And that turned out to be the truck of the family of the Davises, and they own,
a franchise
called
gag prank store.
Gag City. And so basically that's like the whole subplot of the movie is that he's a practical jokester.
And they moved to a New England town because they wanted to be the only Gag City franchise in Maine.
Hundreds of miles, I believe he was saying.
Hundreds of miles, yeah. Which, smart business plan, but also I don't think New England's the biggest prankster area.
Yeah, and
region.
it's definitely I'm just concerned or confused, I guess, with the fact
I'm
that
concerned.
why did they make them like a jokester family? Was that like something they had
Family-friendly
like
content.
yeah, I guess like maybe they wanted audiences to laugh a little more.
Because
or
they
something.
thought the movie would be so scary that they needed some comic relief
that
throughout.
could have been it. But there's stuff like
And oh
plastic
boy, is
puke,
there. Rubber
um,
eggs.
rubber eggs that squirt,
They
and
do
they like
squirt.
like the dad, Carlton, or
Carlton,
Carl
yeah.
for short, what his wife calls him. He squirts the egg at his son, and they just kind of laugh, and that's it for like a good 5 seconds. It's just like really awkward, and then it just cuts to the daughter like rolling her eyes. Let's introduce the family so there's a little context.
All right. So you got the dad. I don't know how old he is. Probably 45-ish.
Big old mustache.
Big old mustache. He looks like he's straight from the Eddies. His name's Carlton Davis, played by Richard Masur.
Mm-hmm.
His wife Eloise. Their sons Ori, or Ari.
Yeah, which stands for
And
like
Corwin
his full
Davis.
name. I don't remember that off the top
His
of my
full
head.
name is Reginald Ernest Davis.
That's right. And so R.E. for Reginald Ernest.
Ari is also
then
spelled
Ari.
Aurie,
Yeah, it's the.
according to the IMDb.
And then their other son, Corwin,
I hate Corwin.
a classic
Corwin sucks.
brother name.
Classic
Dynamic.
combo. Ari
Did I
and
introduce
Corwin.
myself?
No.
Oh, Jesus. I'm Dexter.
Wow.
Hello.
Hi. Wait, did you introduce me?
Yeah, you said your name, didn't you?
I think so. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll throw that in the edits. There's David Faustino as Corwin, and then Christy Swanson as Jennifer, the older sister. She's like the first one to find out about any of the haunts, right? So they get to this house that Carl bought in New England, and he's like, yeah, it's such a great deal. They said it needed renovations, but that'll just bring the family closer together. They show up, and it's clearly like a haunted house. So they're all a little spooked. And once they start getting like settled in,
Oh, you forgot to mention the wonderful realting company the realtor company.
Yeah, what?
Lucifer Falls Realty.
Lucifer Falls
And
Realty.
below the for sale sign is a sign that says "Not Really Haunted" on it.
Yeah, which falls off and then
glows bright red.
Yeah, and the knot explodes once they're like a little more scared of the house.
And
So
then it just glows really haunted.
Really haunted.
It's perfect.
Just in case you weren't sure what Mr. Boogedy was gonna reveal to you in this movie.
And when they move into their house, they're looking around trying to find some lights, and they manage to find while they're looking for the lights, it's clearly bright enough in there for them to see, but they pick up a skull.
Yeah.
And they use a candle to see what they're holding, and it's a skull, and they all scream for about 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah, the mom like picks it up as like, oh, what's this? Must be the light switch.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they have the light on the skull, that's when they realize, oh, that's spooky.
It's a skull, yeah.
And before they even like kind of continue investigating the house, there's like a man in there, and he is
Neil Witherspoon.
Neil Witherspoon,
played
that's
by
right.
John Aston, otherwise known as Gomez from The Addams Family in 1977.
Oh,
so he was really peaked with Mr. Boogedy.
yeah, I think so.
He's kept the spooky and the creepy in his life. Snap, snap.
Creepy and kooky, right?
Creepy and kooky.
The creepy
That's it.
and the kooky.
Yeah, that's copyright. We can't do that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he's like in their house, and he's like, y'all better leave. This place is haunted.
Mm-hmm. And that's when we first hear the tagline, Boogedy.
Yes, he's like, boogedy boogedy boo.
Get out of this house or I'll kill you.
Yeah. So that's like a little threat. Carl is unfazed.
He's like, haha, good one.
The wife, Eloise, also mostly unfazed. The boys kind of shift from being scared sometimes to like laughing it off.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really interesting.
Mm.
But like the spooks, I guess, start right away when Jennifer, the daughter, goes upstairs, and she hears
she hears some sneezing, but we'll get to that later. Some spectral sneezing, but we'll get there. Fun fact about Jennifer Davis, played by Christy Swanson. She, besides playing as Buffy in the 1992 Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, she was also in, guess the movie, 1986.
1986 Ghostbusters.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, who is she?
She plays Simone.
Like one of the girls from the
one
school?
of the kids in class. So when the economics teacher says, Bueller, she says, he's sick. My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this kid was going well with the girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors Baskin Robbins last night. I guess it's pretty serious.
Whoa.
So she peaked.
She really did.
With Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Huh.
Yeah. Mr. Boogedy, good for casting. All right.
Yeah, so the sneezing begins. So not, like a knock on the door, a clap in the distance.
Just spectral sneezing.
Yeah, spectral sneeze. So she walks down the hallway, the door's lit up, and lo and behold, she finds absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
She screams, she faints, and we cut to her mom waking her up, and she makes a really weird Wizard of Oz reference. She says, Jennifer, while you were sleeping, you were clicking your heels together and saying, there's no place like home.
Yeah, that was like the second time she went into the room.
Like home. Yeah. So we don't understand why they thought that would be funny to put in a Wizard of Oz reference.
Yeah, the mom kind of makes a lot of movie references throughout the film, which is really interesting. Yeah, and then she's like, no, I saw him. He's real. Mr. Boogedy's real. And they, brushing her off and stuff like that. The boys at one point go to the basement, Corwin and Ari, and there's some like sinister sounds in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of cuts to the next morning, right?
Yes.
With the breakfast scene, which is the clip that you can watch if you're interested in watching Mr. Boogedy. You can go to the extras section on Disney Plus, and they have a clip.
You can't forget about the fact that R.E. lost his fuzzy teddy bear.
That's true.
Not just a teddy bear, it's fuzzy. And he likes to mention that.
He really does.
Mm.
The children actors are
phenomenal. Don't even say it. They're perfect.
Yes.
Oscar worthy.
Absolutely.
R.E. Davis is...
Yeah, but they have breakfast, And what really goes on? There's nothing really important there other than the fact that they like dismiss the daughter, right?
Yeah. That's about it. Yeah, she really kind of just goes on about how the house is probably haunted and they should
Yeah, and that's the
leave.
iconic clip they use.
And she talks about how she's hearing all this sneezing. And then her mom goes, "Oh, old houses make noises all the time, honey."
Right. And then it ends with her trying to make bread in the toaster. And the toaster moves. She screams, stares at the family. And Carl pulls on a wire. And he says,
"Gag City."
"Gag City." And she just shakes her head. She's, "I'll get you for this, Carlton." Iconic.
Sounds murdery in my opinion.
Yeah. They have a weird dynamic because they're like doing inventory on their gags and novelty supplies later in the movie. And they start like messing with the kids. And she's like snort laughing. And I think they're trying to make that like a joke in itself.
And
because they'll like just cut to her face and she's like
just like that. That was perfect. Absolutely.
Thank you, Ben.
Of course.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And then they introduce the spoilers, the star of Mr. Boogedy, the gag vacuum.
The vacuum.
The gag vacuum.
The Henry Hoover shop vac situation.
Yeah, if you haven't blessed yourself with a viewing of Mr. Boogedy yet, I definitely suggest
this is the time where you pause the podcast.
Yes.
And go spend 45 minutes.
45 glorious minutes.
45 glorious minutes of Oz, Scott, and Mr. Boogedy
watching the
out.
Davises.
Watching the Davises.
Directed by popular TV director Oz Scott. And so I was like, oh, I think I've heard of them before. And so we, did our, crazy podcast research and went to the IMDb page, right?
Yeah.
You can't nod. It's a podcast.
I know. I'm sorry. I just got. I went to the famous trivia section of IMDb,
right.
And David Faustino, the boy who plays
Corwin. Yes.
The
older brother.
The original actor who auditioned for that part was Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix could have been in the hit TV film Mr. Boogedy. That's really interesting.
4 out of 4 people found that one interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you should click it.
There's 2 of us, so that's 6 people.
6 of 4. Wait.
That's 120%.
Abort. Yeah, the IMDb page with Oz Scott. He's the director of this, and he's directed a lot of stuff over his tenure.
Lengthy.
Yeah.
Career.
Stuff like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He was the director of that with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. He's done a lot of TV. He did multiple Gotham episodes and Black Lightning episodes, some CSI New York, a lot of really cool stuff. And he made this icon of a film,
this gem.
Mr. Boogedy, 1986's made-for-TV family film.
Mm-hmm.
Iconic. Yeah, so the vacuum's introduced through Carl knocking, I think intentionally, a box of packing peanuts over. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Jennifer, will you
hand me that
hand
vacuum?
Me the hose? Yep.
And turn it on for me.
And it opens up like Jack in the Box. At this point, the kids are trying to get the attention of Carl and Eloise, the parents, because they went to the Historical Society.
Where John Astin, good old Gomez Adams.
That's right. John Astin.
That's his name.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of
Neil Witherspoon.
Neil Witherspoon.
Mm-hmm. Same guy.
Which
he's such a good actor that
when
he
they
becomes
arrive
the character.
there and he's like asleep, and then they like ask if he works there, and he like
they say,
pauses.
"What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Oh, I work here."
So bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, were they like trying to characterize him as like a little kooky?
I think they're just trying to
Creepy.
give him some more personality.
Yeah, it's weird.
No.
And they did that like flashback to the Pilgrim era when Mr. Boogedy was from, and the set was like between the lions-esque, like paper hills and trees, and I think it's because of the pop-up book, that he used for historical research.
The set looked like a school program in the 5th grade, where you're trying to sing about brushing your teeth.
Yeah, and they had like the white fog around the corners, just to kind of make it less like a
Dream-esque.
set. Yeah. So the origin story. Do you think you could give it a shot of what Mr. Boogedy was about? What happened?
So picture the Pilgrim version of Ebenezer Scrooge. His name is William Hanover, and he really just hates kids and hates people. So whenever kids come up to him, he scares them away by saying Boogedy. Of course, like you do. And this guy, he's the baddest of the bad.
Yep.
And it goes into a part where they talk about he's so mad because no one in the village wants to marry him.
Yeah.
So he's just sad?
Yeah, but he falls in love with one of the widows of the town.
Widow Marion,
a celebrity, and her son Jonathan. So instead of just trying,
he doesn't
to
fall in love with the son Jonathan. Let's be clear about that.
You're right. I mean, pilgrims.
He hates kids.
A little weird. Anyways, he instead of trying to woo or court her,
he kidnaps the son, right?
Yeah, kidnaps Jonathan.
Which is weird because it's implied that he hates kids.
Yeah, which is really something. It's really interesting. So he kidnaps Jonathan with a cloak he got from the devil.
He sold his soul to the devil in the town of Lucifer Falls.
Yep.
Back in the 1800s.
Who, keep in mind, is just a man with red
face paint
and a morph suit on.
Yeah.
That looks like the devil.
Picture your dad in a Party City Satan costume.
Absolutely.
High on drugs. That's what the devil looked like.
Yeah. And he like smiled and clapped when he handed the cloak to.
Did you not know that the devil loves clapping?
Yeah, of course. Silly me.
It's his second favorite thing besides playing the fiddle.
Yeah, so kidnaps Jonathan. And Marion goes to get him, Jonathan, but the house disappears.
No.
Right?
Mr. Boogedy uses the magic cloak.
Okay.
I'm saying this like it's a normal thing.
Right.
Mr. Boogedy takes the magic cloak that he got from Satan himself.
Yeah.
And tries to cast a spell, but instead makes the house explode and kills himself, Jonathan, and Widow Marion.
Yeah, so they're all dead, trapped in the ethereal plane.
Yeah, and they become ghosts forever.
Yes. And so Neil Witherspoon? Yes, he warns the kids. He's like, remember what I said, everyone who lives in your house is haunted. And they're like, well, what should we do? And he's like, I'd move.
Yeah.
And then it cuts.
Yep.
Which is just incredible because, it's one of those commercial pauses because it's made for TV movie. But it's just such a weird.
Yeah, he says, I'd move, and then it cuts to them, and they look horrified that he would move.
Yeah.
For some reason.
So they go back, and then we're back to the vacuum. Sorry, this is incredibly out of order, but I love it. We're thriving. Mess with the vacuum. The kids aren't impressed.
The vacuum also shoots ping pong balls at a velocity of throwing a tissue as hard as you can.
Yeah, and it makes that sound. You know what I mean? No, it's not a popping. It's more like shung, a shung, a shung. Anyway,
just like that.
Yeah, I think
that's our Foley work for the rest of this series.
Yeah.
That was our whole budget.
That's the last episode of this podcast, actually.
I think so. We're done. Thank you.
We peaked just there, so
you can unsubscribe.
Yeah, or even not subscribe, please. This is our first episode. Stay.
Did you say not subscribe?
No, please subscribe.
Okay, gotcha.
Smash that like button. Is that what they say on the YouTubes?
Like and follow. Share with your...
No cap. Am I right?
Stupid.
Thank you. I'll be here all day. So they try to convince them that it's really haunted, and they're still doing the whole parent cliche, oh, y'all believe in ghosts, y'all are silly. And then the props of Gag City start becoming possessed. So the piano, The old piano in the room starts playing. The fake hands start moving around.
They
and
start floating and clapping. Satan's
yeah, they're
favorite
like
thing.
clapping along to the fucking piano.
The piano,
playing.
indeed.
Yeah. And then this mummy that
This
they
fake
have,
mummy.
this prop mummy, becomes like human and starts not human, becomes alive.
Anthropomorphic?
Yes, that's a good big boy word.
SAT
job.
word right
Good
there.
job, baby brother Ben.
Thank you.
Yeah, they start like I guess just dancing. The mummy just dances, right? It's not like trying to murder
mummy
them or anything.
Grabs Carlton, or Carl, like I call him because we're friends.
Yeah, that's his.
He grabs him, and then you think you're like, oh my gosh, the mummy's going to kill him. No,
Right.
he just kind of hugs him.
Yeah, and then
behind
starts
and
dancing.
then begins to pop and lock and twerk and
Yeah, doing some like
do
orange
some
justice.
crumping.
Is that hip and with it? Is the Fortnites still
You mean 2 weeks?
things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so they're like, okay, man, it's really haunted. We should move. The whole family's like convinced we should move, and Carl's like, just bought a house. There's some money in that house. They can't just move. So he's like, well, let's just sleep down here tonight.
Let's just sleep in the floor.
Yeah,
as
and
a family.
nothing really happens that night either up until
The mom wakes up. Really, she does what we all want.
yeah,
to
they
do.
all go to bed
They all sleep.
except for her. She wakes up in the middle
She
of the night.
goes to sleep too. She wakes up in the middle of the night, sees her husband's hand wrapped around her because they're spooning,
They're so sweet.
She grossly
Carl and
looks at
Eloise.
it, flicks it off of herself, gets up, goes to the kitchen, and does what we all do, and she pulls out a baguette, 30 slices of cheese,
30 slices of cheese is like a whole stack
a
of like
tomato,
the Kraft
a
American
green
cheese.
bell pepper,
Mm-hmm.
and then takes a bite out of the end of the baguette and sits
Yes.
down to make a sandwich with no utensils.
Well, there's like a big bread knife already at the table,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
For safety.
So you're like, oh, she's, I guess, going to make a sandwich at 1 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But
Until a faint purple light
the
comes
celebrity
through the
mentioned
window.
before, Widow Marion, appears. And instead of like, I guess, being spooked or startled or even like confused,
Yeah.
she's just kind of like,
Oh, you're Widow Marion.
You were the widow that my children were telling me about.
Do you want to come in for coffee?
And then Widow Marion is like, Thieth doust not enter, for Mr. Boogedy has prevented me from entering your humble abode.
And then Eloise is like, well, you can come in anyway. I'll get you some coffee. And then Marion starts crying, and Eloise is like, is it the coffee? Did Ghost hate coffee?
Yeah, it's
Is
this
coffee
whole,
bad for
like-
Ghost? Does it hurt you? Is it coffee?
I don't know
Coffee,
if it's
coffee?
supposed to be funny.
Oh, it's
though.
hilarious.
And it is funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
This is the worst in the weird.
Mm-hmm.
This is Disney Bust. Thank you all for listening.
Is this it? Is this
No,
the
this
end?
isn't the end.
I was about to
sorry.
say. We still have a good...
I was just plugging the title in case anyone forgot.
Oh, that's okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, so Widow Marion is introduced, and then Jonathan's introduced because the boys and the whole family just starts searching for the ghosts.
Yeah. Widow Marion tells them that they got to kill Mr. Boogedy
Yes,
in order
they're
for her to get her son back.
They're like, we can do that. We can do that.
So they're all walking upstairs with, their insane weapons. The dad's got a joke fly swatter, a really big one. The daughter's got a can of hairspray. The
Yep.
mom has something. Let's say she has a golf club. Why not?
I don't remember.
I don't either. The son, Ari, has a foam hammer,
Foam hammer.
and Corwin has a plastic bat.
Yeah, the big red ones. That,
Mm-hmm.
are like half a pound.
Mm-hmm. And then good old Ari hears a thud in the basement and sprints down there because, And then we find out later when Corwin runs down there to find his brother that Ari's been fighting with the ghost of Jonathan because Jonathan's the one who took his fuzzy teddy bear at the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie.
Iconic. Look at this
Iconic.
Chekhov's gun.
Well, I know. It's so phenomenal. And so they're fighting. They're doing some ghost punching and ghost wrestling and
Yeah, and
ghost
he's like, I'm
sports.
sorry, just wanted to play.
Oh.
Thou'st not forgive thou teddy bear.
I just wanted a friend.
Yeah. And he's like, we can be your friend. And then they hear Mr. Boogedy, so they run upstairs, and this is like right when
Jonathan screams, he's coming. Mr.
Yeah.
Boogedy's coming.
big finale.
And then Corwin runs upstairs screaming, he's coming. And the dad screams, who?
which
Who's coming?
who's coming? And even though they've been searching for like 30 minutes for like the one guy who's not part of the family that they really care about and are searching for.
The only guy who would be on his way.
Yeah, and so like the camera starts like following them from the kitchen, right? Like, so you're like, oh, okay, like this camera angle, I'm Mr. Boogedy.
I wish I was Mr. Boogedy.
Oh yeah, with that grilled cheese sandwich face.
I'd eat my own face.
I think they also mentioned that he looked like a hamburger too, which it's like
Jennifer
is he
mentions
hamburger or grilled cheese.
that first time she saw him, she says his face looks like a grilled cheese or something.
Yeah,
Also, it's all hamburgery.
hamburgery.
Yeah, I'd say it's more roast beefy,
It's not even that.
but like a roast beef you would
It's just like
throw out into the ocean
yeah,
because
it's got like boils.
it
It's
does.
just
It's
weird.
got like one
Yeah,
big
so that-
boil.
Back to the camera angle. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He's the camera's walking in, so they like look at it a few times, like unsure if they're supposed to look yet, and then when they do look, he's still not there.
Nope.
And then he appears, and he's in his green spectral form, and he just kind of laughs for a little bit, and then does his little
Finger jiggle,
finger jiggle.
if that's what you want to call it.
I think that's a great one.
Imagine
Call it.
doing this force lightning with your hands, but instead of lightning, it's boogedy.
Yeah, and so he's like, boogedy, boogedy, boo. An iconic line from his 300 years. He couldn't come up with any other material for his magic powers. Strikes the family.
Of course.
They're dead. They're all dead.
They all die.
Cut to
Corwin
black.
explodes.
End of movie.
Joaquin Phoenix shows up. He explodes.
Franklin Murray shows up. Is that what
Franklin.
his name is?
Franklin
From
Murray.
Joker? Late Night with Franklin Murray.
Yeah.
Tonight with Franklin Murray?
Bob De Niro.
Yeah. Good old Bob.
Anyways,
Yeah. So he does that. They're not dead. Sorry. I hate to break it to you. Their hair just goes up, and then
Yeah, they get force lightning by boogedy.
yeah, and Carl's like, "Please leave."
Yeah, as he's being shocked with probably 1.21 gigawatts of boogedy power, he's standing there all calm, just going, "Hey, get out of here.
Yeah, it's like
Leave.
It's wild.
Leave."
And so Corwin, the older brother, like tries to attack Mr. Boogedy. Him and Ari have a plan. They found like I didn't know what it was.
I think they got some itching powder.
Yeah, it's like a classic gag city icon.
It's perfect for ghosts.
So they like try to do
They're
that.
really itchy.
They make-
And then Corwin grabs a poker from the fireplace.
Yep.
Which proceeds to be boogedied and then inflate like a balloon.
Yeah, he like shoots his little lightning powers at him.
And then the poker inflates like a balloon, floats up to the, takes Corwin up to the ceiling
And
like
Carl's
a
like,
ghost.
Oh
Like-
no, I have
like-
to save my son, right?
Yeah.
So he grabs a ladder,
Good
which
dad.
is there because it's being renovated, so
Of
it
course.
makes sense. And he starts to climb it, and then he gets boogedied.
And I think he's in a permanent climb. 'cause
Yeah,
he's
and he
kinda
just like
bouncing up and
steps up
down.
one at a time. He's like, "I'm coming, son. I'm coming." And it's
He's
just
like,
hilarious.
I'll get you, son. I'll get you down from there.
Oh my
I'm on my
God.
way. And he's just kind of bouncing up and down.
But it's not like he's gonna keep going up. It's like
No.
a 12-foot ceiling, so he's just kind of like 3
There's
feet.
4
hanging in
steps on the
air.
ladder.
Yeah, it's not. It's
He didn't
not
need the ladder. He could reach up.
an issue.
No.
So while he's in the air,
Mm.
Jennifer's just kind of standing there.
But she's
Eloise is kind of
so
standing there because
spooked.
you know how they did a lot of great stuff for women in the past. Really gave them a lot of liberty in film.
Mm.
Ari, the baby, the tiny boy, he grabs the vacuum and he's like, "Oh, I'll shoot him with the ping pong balls." Shoom, shoom,
All right.
shoom.
Yeah, he does that. He does that at Mr. Boogedy, and Mr. Boogedy looks
I'm really glad you did that.
about as pleased as... Hold on.
He's just kind of like annoyed.
He kind of just laughs at it.
Yeah, he's not. It's not really like, yeah, I don't even know. He boogedies the vacuum though. So we mentioned this was like the star of the show earlier
Mm.
because this vacuum now works as a vacuum. So Mr. Boogedy's powers include
Yep.
hair standing up,
Boogedy lightning.
uh,
Boogedy balloons.
pokers inflating,
Boogedy balloons.
getting stuck in an infinite loop.
Boogedy ladder.
Thank you.
Of course.
And then making a fake vacuum into a real vacuum.
the boogedy suck.
The boogedy suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts chasing Ari, and he's like, "Oh no, please stop!" But like, what's it gonna do to him?
It's just gonna
Like
give him a
at first, I
hickey.
was like, "Okay, I get it. It's kind of scary," but like,
It's a floating vacuum, yeah.
yeah,
He uses like cloth to block it, but it just
and
sucks
the
up
cloth
the
gets
cloth.
sucked up.
And then he proceeds to do what we all would do and hide behind the specter that's trying to kill you.
Yeah,
So he's literally
because
holding
Boogedy's
on to
just standing there the whole time.
he's holding on to Mr. Boogedy's floating legs and like hiding behind him, trying to juke the
Yep.
vacuum out.
back and forth.
And then the finale happens.
Yeah, the iconic defeating of Mr. Boogedy. We all thought he was just going to win out. We thought the Davises were done for. But the cloak, which conveniently is very flowy,
And also not ghosty.
not ghosty, it's physical.
It's a physical cloak.
Yeah, gets sucked up by the vacuum.
Yeah. Good job,
So he's
Corwin.
like, yeah,
Gets
they're
boogedy
like,
sucked.
"Oh, what'd you do to me?" And perishes.
He does explode
Yeah.
into a blob of green light and fun.
And then the gag vacuum is back to a gag vacuum. No
Yeah.
more boogedy suck.
It's no more boogedy suck. It's just a regular shop
And
vac.
the like clown inside, instead of like the Gag City logo, it's got the cloak that it's holding.
Mhm.
And the older kid, Corwin, throws it, and he goes boogedy boogedy boo, and then
The cloak explodes.
the cloak explodes and disappears. And so I guess everyone, as long as you can say boogedy boogedy boo and
You got
shoot
magic.
your fingers, you got magic powers in this town.
So this is a lesson to all you kids out there. Just point at something, say boogedy boogedy boo, and it will explode.
Absolutely.
No matter what. You don't need a cloak. You don't need to be a 300-year-old pilgrim. You can do it if you wanna.
Yeah, so thankfully Mr. Boogedy's gone. Jonathan and Maureen? The widow? Marion?
Marion.
Marion.
hmm
Jonathan and Marion are reunited at last.
Jonathan still has his cold.
Yeah, so Carl gives him his tissue or
Mhm.
handkerchief because, the
hmm
80s. And they're reunited.
So
How sweet. Does
Very
it end
sweet.
there, Ben?
no, but I did want to touch back on the fact that
Okay,
Jonathan
go
has
back.
has an internal cold.
Yeah.
Remember when Jennifer was hearing some sneezing in the house?
Mm-hmm.
It was just baby Jonathan sneezing.
It was.
Because he died when he had a cold, which makes him permanently have the sneezes.
Yes, thank you for the context, just in case anyone didn't torture themselves through this.
Putting that together, you mean?
Yeah, but like, oh man, it was just bad. And so they leave, they go off into the sunset or whatever. And
They
Carl,
hear a
like,
noise from the vacuum.
yeah. So Carl turns around and what's it do?
The clown winks.
Yeah, the clown winks. So I think Mr. Boogedy is still
It also
possesses
does.
the vacuum.
some
It does something
laughter.
else. It laughs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
And then it winks, and then it's like a freeze frame, and then the credits start. So what a great way to end this 45-minute debacle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Mr. Boogedy, thoughts, comments, concerns so far, Ben?
I have no concerns. I want at least 3 more.
Well, lucky for you, there's actually a sequel to Mr. Boogedy. Unfortunately, it's not on Disney Plus.
What a shame.
It's called Bride of Boogedy. So
I guess he
they
finally
wanna-
kidnaps another lady.
Yeah, bank on the whole wife napping thing.
Gosh.
Yeah, real rough.
No. Overall, I think Mr. Boogedy
Mm-hmm.
needs to be on DVD, as this person on IMDb says as well.
I mean, it's forever eternalized in Disney Plus.
Not forever. I need it in physical copy.
Okay. Yeah, it was really something.
Mm.
So I wanted to kind of do these podcasts with an interesting question for the end. So
Yeah.
Disney is notorious for reboots.
Oh, no.
They've remade Aladdin. They're remaking Mulan. They remade Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, all within the past few years, right? So they've decided to reboot Mr. Boogedy. How would they do it?
If they decided to reboot Mr. Boogedy, oh my god, I think
Disney Plus show?
I don't think it should be a show.
I mean, no, they've greenlit it.
It clearly failed.
Bob Iger said, we got something really good on our hands. Here we are. Reboot. Mr. Boogedy.
If Mr. Boogedy got rebooted,
yeah,
I would want to see Joaquin Phoenix as Mr. Boogedy.
Yeah, bring back his first real casting.
I would want to see the Stranger Things kids.
All of them.
All of them.
Oh, okay. So Mr. Boogedy is in Hawkins, or it just happens to be those kids? Okay. Embarrassing.
It's just the actors.
Okay.
Because America loves them.
It's true.
And then I'd want to see Tom Hanks as the vacuum.
Okay. So you're just thinking direct shot-for-shot remake.
Yep. And then I'd want to see...
Because I had a proposal. Would you like to hear it?
No.
Okay. Perfect. Love podcasting.
And then I'd want to see John Astin resurrected as the house. I don't think he's dead. Is he dead?
Who's John Astin?
It's
I
Neil
know who
Witherspoon.
John Astin is. Yeah, it's Neil Witherspoon.
Oh my god.
The Chamber of Commerce.
No. Oh no.
/ Warning Man.
He's also kind of a realtor.
Was it Chamber of Commerce and then the Historical Society?
The National
also?
Historical Society.
But he was also part of the Chamber of Commerce, right? He was
Yeah.
as the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, that's why
I tell you to get the fuck out.
That's why he broke into their house at the beginning.
Wild.
To hide in the dark.
Okay, so here's mine. I know you didn't want to hear it, but
I would love
think
to hear it.
they should make a show called Lucifer Falls. It's a high school teen drama.
It's like Gravity Falls.
Stars Jennifer as the lead. She's got 2 annoying little brothers. Same family. Same Gag City complex, because apparently that's a smash hit. And then Mr. Boogedy is this villain pulling on the strings of all of, the cheating and the high school drama, and, the star wide receiver gets injured, and, what's going on? It's Mr. Boogedy. So I'd say we greenlight a whole season called Lucifer Falls.
Let's call him Mr. Boogie.
No.
He really likes
So he has
dancing.
a new name.
He really likes dancing.
Oh, okay. Cool. And so, I'm thinking, the whole tone is just so serious throughout the thing until Mr. Boogedy appears, and then it's back to, this.
So you're talking Riverdale.
Yeah, Riverdale. That's it.
Throughout, but good.
Right.
And then in comes Mr. Boogie, and his face this time doesn't look like a grilled cheese sandwich. This time, it looks like a turkey BLT.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little bit more fresh.
Right.
A little more 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're really feeling it, it could be like avocado toast.
Yeah. Or Jennifer's he's got a face like a Impossible Whopper.
Oh my gosh, he's got a face
and
like
then she
falafel. And then she dabs so hard.
Dabs on him.
And that's how Mr. Boogedy does his spells. Besides the
how,
finger wiggle, he dabs on everybody.
Yeah, and that's how Disney Plus makes this relevant again.
And then Corwin explodes the cloak by whipping so hard that it pops.
Yeah, some Fortnite dances save the day.
2-week dances?
I think we have a hit on our hands.
You can dance for 2 weeks?
Honestly. Are you referring to the Fortnite?
Yeah, like 2 weeks?
Okay. Well, so that was Mr. Boogedy. I think we talked about longer than the actual film.
We did.
Which I'm shocked. But I think it's really something. I think we have a
that
hit on our hands with Lucifer Falls.
You're shocked that me and you, as brothers, could
Yes.
talk for 50 minutes?
Two brothers talking about it's two brothers. It's two brothers
And Mr.
and
Boogie.
a podcast. And two brothers podcast and Mr. Boogedy. Boogedy.
Mr. Boogie.
Whoosh.
And John Astin.
Ahem. Whoosh. Whoosh.
It was Shum.
Oh, I can't even do my own little bit. Hum. Was it like that?
No.
Hum.
We're done with it.
Okay. Anyways, so we're posting this after this. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have a million hits, and because we're
1,000,001.
2 straight white men and we deserve it. Yes. Right?
That's really good Between Two Ferns movie.
Thank
reference.
you. Yeah.
Thank
Did you like that movie?
It's not
Anyways,
Disney. We can't talk about it.
You're right. This is Disney Bust. It's a podcast where not every week we'll talk about a movie or TV show. I made a Twitter page.
Every fortnight.
Maybe every fortnight. We'll see. I'll dab.
Every battle royale, we'll talk about
I'll
it.
dab. No cap. No cap, Ben.
Oh, God.
Okay. Yeah, so I made a Twitter. So that's at Disney Bust. So if you want to follow us on there, you can find out every time we have a new episode. We can also take questions and suggestions on Twitter. We also have a Gmail account, and that's Disney Bust Podcast, all one word, at gmail.com. So if you want to send questions, feedback that way, that would be super awesome. So this was Mr. Boogedy, 1986's
Masterpiece.
Magical
World of
Check it out on
Disney.
Disney Plus.
Perfect. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. 30,000% on my tomatoes.
Your tomatoes.
Yeah.
Good.
Ben's tomatoes.
Well, thank you all so much for listening. Those dozens of you out there. I really appreciate that.
I'm going to go make a Mr. Boogedy. I mean, grilled cheese.
With some hamburger meat.
No.
Okay.
Avocado.
Good talk.
Avocado fortnight.
Good talk. Signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.